When I was around 6, me and my sister had gotten our first family computer. We immediately set out on a hunt for the perfect online game to consume us for the rest of our childhood. We tried Club Penguin, only played the fishing game, tried IMVU, was terrified, and any other game was too abandoned. I like playing as a penguin in Club Penguin, so I told my sister, what if we focus on finding an animal game? Soon after, my sister shows me a YouTube video about Animal Jam. We made our accounts, and the rest is history. Now with this lore, you can imagine how excited I was to see Animal Jam trending on my feed. I guess it's gotten a resurgence, but I honestly have zero clue why. Only thing I had recently been seeing was some questionable raids. So maybe that brought it back alive. Who knows? Regardless, it sparked some nostalgia, so I wanted to make a video revisiting it. I'm not going to lie, I had already made a video on this before, but didn't ever release it. The original prompt would have been about getting the rarest items in the game using art in 1 week. But the issue with that is that one of the rarest items in the game is pretty controversial since it's literally cultural appropriation. A lot of people say that it's cultural appreciation, but I'm pretty sure 90% of those people who have it just have it because it's rare and not to appreciate anything. Anyways, I thought I'd repurpose some of the footage to instead make this video fully about the AJ Art Studio. I'm a big believer that it doesn't matter what you draw on, you can still make a masterpiece. So I'm here to prove it with one of the worst built-in art studios I've ever seen in a game. I know there's worse out there, but I'm going to demonstrate how torturous this studio is by drawing in realism. Let us begin. The first drawing is a wolf, and immediately problem 1 is no layers. Honestly, I like Breeze on its own since he can just sketch with a light color, but combined with problem 2, it's pretty frustrating. Problem 2 is the undo button. It only allows for one action to be undone. Like I said, would be a light breeze if we had layers, but since it's paired up with none, it's super annoying. I used the airbrush for 90% of this drawing, and as you can see, it just functions as spaced out dots that vary in opacity. Since the wolf is slightly not fully gray, I tried using the airbrush as an overlay of color, but sometimes the airbrush would apply too much opacity. You'd think, no problem, just undo it. But sometimes one dot from the airbrush registers as one action, and then I can't undo that whole blob. Besides that, everything else was smooth sailing for this drawing, and the minor inconveniences were pretty small. The weird airbrush tool makes for a nice blurring effect as well as some nice fur texture. Moving on to painting 2, a fox. When recording this speed paint, I left my avatar up, not sure why. Look at little me go. Anyways, I chose a much more colorful reference this time to avoid the overlay problem, but luckily for me, Animal Jam makes sure that you still find problems along the way. Right from the get-go, I was having problems with the composition and anatomy of the fox. This is more of an advanced tool, but coming from someone who abuses the heck out of this tool, I like some sort of selection in this software. Although I was having fun with all the variety of colors I could slap onto the drawing, I was kind of forcing myself through it since something felt off the whole time. I kept changing minor things here and there to avoid repainting the whole thing, but finally at the end, I had to repaint the eye and move it closer to the other. Even then, when I look at the drawing, so much more can be improved. Pretty small one and unnecessary complaint, I guess, but I don't know, I feel like something could definitely be done there. They have a smudge tool, which comes in clutch for fur. Maybe they could push for a bigger size and make it sort of a liquefy, even if it blurs the heck out of the drawing. Before I go into the third drawing, a little self-promotion. I gave you guys the goal that if we hit 10,000 subscribers, I'd make a video with my mom or my dad, and you guys crushed it. And in this video here, I designed OCs for my parents to help you guys choose which one of them you like to see in the 10K special. I know some of you have been waiting to see the results, but this is a one-person team after all, so you're going to need to wait maybe another video more to see it, unfortunately. That being said, if you haven't already, subscribe to stay tuned for when that video comes out. And of course, for those who are already subscribed, be on a lookout. If you want to consume more Rainbow Shrimps content weekly instead of every 2 to 3 weeks, follow me on my other platforms where I upload at least once a week. Thank you so much for your patience. Trust, I'm cooking up something good. Now for the third drawing. I said I'd be drawing in realism, but this is more semi-realism, and that's because I'll be drawing my persona for the last one. Some may call this cheating, but I simply call this using tools at my disposal. I sketched something on a different program first and then overlaid it onto Animal Jam and traced it. The whole anatomy fiasco ruined me from the last drawing, and I was not gonna mess up my own OC like that. Oh, but don't worry, I still suffered a lot. I deserved some leeway. It didn't matter if I was drawing in arguably an easier style, since it was something I'm more comfortable with. It didn't matter if I didn't freehand good composition because of this one thing some of you have probably been waiting for me to comment on, and that's the color selection tool. There are so many things wrong with it. For instance, you only have this bar to see what colors you last selected. If you choose too many different colors at once, you just lost a bunch of other colors you'll most likely need to return to. On top of that, there's no color selection tool, and you have no idea of telling where the color you currently have selected is in the box for when you only need to go a few shades darker. Earlier, I also said that I chose the fox to avoid having to use the airbrush as an overlay. Since I'm drawing my persona, I have to stay as true to her design and her colors. Otherwise, it just doesn't really look like my persona. Now, let's look at those colors and then look at the AJ color selection. You see what I'm saying? If you said that you're not seeing her colors anywhere, you're right, because her colors aren't anywhere. Animal Jam decided to say, no, let's get rid of the concept of desaturated colors and instead throw all the grays at the bottom. If you didn't know, desaturated colors are really important when giving the illusion of other colors. For instance, this looks like pink, but obviously it's not, because it's also on green. What's its true color? More of a desaturated orange. No problem though, just overlay like in the first drawing, the wolf one. Loud, incorrect buzzer. They taper over each other, and this was more easily hidden with the wolf since it can just be labeled as texture. I already had a plan set for this though, but as I should have predicted, nothing goes according to plan. The skin, as you saw earlier, wasn't too much of a problem. I wasn't going to get too nitpicky on that since it wasn't that desaturated. A light orange always does the job when making a decent skin color. However, their hair was a lot more desaturated and a specific color. As I mentioned earlier, if I changed that, it would make my persona less identifiable. I tried smudging out the overlay to make it look like a solid flat color, but for some reason, the way it smudges out makes zero sense. Instead of mixing the colors, it sort of just drags around the lightest color. I mean, I understand that it's not a mixing tool, but at the same time, eventually with the smudge tool, they do start mixing together. I really just had to settle for less at a certain point. I got pretty dang close to her hair color, but I didn't want to overdo the smudging in fear of everything just reverting back to fully gray. It was pretty patchy and inconsistent, but it was desaturated green and way better than a super bright green like the neck bones. Speaking of neck bones, a very small percentage of you probably noticed that I didn't draw her bone hand, and that's because I was scared Animal Jam wouldn't approve it if I did give her one. They have items in the game that it's like a skeleton tail and stuff, but I just wanted to be safer than sorry. On the topic if they approve my paintings, yes to all of them. It did take longer than average though for the human one. It wasn't perfect by no means, but it was the best I could do. And the best I could do was not bad at all. Being an artist means you have to get creative, and oh boy, does Animal Jam really help push for that. Not having the best tools at your disposal does limit yourself, but then pushing past those limits makes you all the more proud of what you've made, knowing that you looked past those hurdles. Yes, if Animal Jam fixed the art studio, the drawing would look better. But like I said, it also doesn't look bad with those imperfections since I knew I was limited. That's the joy of creation. I can draw in a professional program when I want, but it's still fun to draw in Animal Jam since it's challenging and feels like an accomplishment once you finish the drawing despite all odds. I stand with saying that you can make a masterpiece no matter what. Obviously, if you draw with Crayola and then switch to Prismas, there's gonna be a difference in appearance. But tools are not solely responsible in determining what makes a good drawing or not. Do not push yourself to draw some Michelangelo level work if you got a Walmart art kit from last Christmas. Don't have expectations and get creative with what you got. That's all from me. Subscribe and comment which drawing was your favorite. Comment your user if you got some personal work hung up in your Animal Jam done. See you guys in the next video. Enjoy some footage of some of the trades I got for my artwork. So here's the first trade that I got, not too bad. Then I got offered a spike. And then someone literally offered their cultural appropriation for the... I'm just kidding. I was just in Brady's lab telling people to troll because I had been on periodically throughout the days that I was editing this video, asking people to offer for my art, and I was getting no offers, so I just ended up going to Brady's and saying like, oh, flex your worth on me, because I needed some footage for the end, just something fun. Anyways, later on I did trade my art for a green collar. You can still get good offers for your art, but every single time I was trying to record the offers, I just was getting none, or I was getting some, but they were like really bad. Anyways, I really recommend, if you're an artist, you like Animal Jam, trade your art. You could get some nice riches off of it. I think with the added resurgence of more players, there's obviously more artists, so more competition, so now it's harder to get good trades for your art. But regardless, it's still really fun to draw on Animal Jam and trade art to get valuables for it. Of course, most people that do get a lot for their art are members and they can just sell it for diamonds, but since I'm a non-member, it's a pretty unfair comparison to say that I wasn't getting any offers when you can get a lot for your art. I'm just a non-member. I don't have the money to spend. I don't have the adult money to spend. I'm so happy that Animal Jam is getting a comeback, I guess. My sister was watching me play Animal Jam, trying to get the footage for this, and when I was doing that other challenge a while back, and even she was saying like, oh, don't play that in front of me because I'm gonna end up playing it. I thought I should recycle the footage that I got from that other one. If you're wondering, yes, I was able to get, you know, really high rares for my art in 1 week. Enough for a headdress, but I didn't want the headdress and instead got party hats. I still have a green party hat in my inventory. I didn't feel comfortable with having that video up, and I didn't touch the topic properly of cultural appropriation and all of that, so I thought I would mention it in this one. And since I'm on it right now, just to let you guys know, or anyone know, if you're native, of course, it's up to you, your opinion on it, but I mean, a lot of people that aren't native wear them, and from what I know, headdresses can only be worn by like a really high person in the tribe. Like only a like very small select few can wear it. Like it's just not something that like any native or any person, like not even any native can wear it. And that's why it's a pretty controversial topic in Animal Jam. Besides the, you know, accidental cultural appropriation that Animal Jam did, it's still nice, and I like the funky looking avatars. I recommend it to anyone, but I will say you don't have to trade for those. You don't have to trade for headdresses to get other stuff in the game, and there's other high value stuff in the game if you still want to, you know, be a rich person in Animal Jam. I love editing videos so much. I feel like every single time I add those like animal gifs, whatever you call it, it's like a touch of my personality that I want to share with you guys, and I hope you guys giggle at those. But yeah, bye bye. This is the actual end of the video. Thank you for hearing my rant. I thought I'd add something just fun and not scripted towards the end. So yeah, bye bye. Check out my den, and I'll check out your guys' dens. Bye.